My first exposure to skateboarding, that was a long time ago, probably 76 or 77. My mom brought one home from a store. My older sister used it and within hours broke her wrist. And so my mom threw it out and I didn't get to see another skateboard for a couple of years after that. But you know, that's kind of part of skateboarding, I guess. The gravity part can get to people. As soon as I would get on a skateboard and just give it a couple pushes, right then my mind would just be focused on the moment, not so worried about the past or the future, and just frees my mind to skate and destroy. Cub Power Skateshop started in a really random way. It's nothing I ever planned on doing. I never thought I'd have a skate shop. My girlfriend and I moved to Butte and I had some skateboards. I was sort of a skate hoarder already. Got a couple of small accounts and a brick and mortar storefront in Butte and started Cub Power Skateshop. Aloha friends and enemas, we're right here in Butte, Montana and we are having the first snow of the season. So it's a great day to buy a skateboard, open till 5 o'clock today. Come on in. Made a bunch of calls and sent out a lot of emails and eventually got an account with NHS, that's Santa Cruz. That helped a lot. A lot of other things came after that. After a while I started getting calls from reps from companies and instead of having to chase them down. It was neat to kind of restart here. Got a lot of practice running a skate shop in Butte. It's a little hole in the wall and I shoved everything I could into it. It seems to work. It's been pretty much every waking moment I'm thinking of it if I'm not actually here. It's chaotic and stressful and I love it. I have a skate shop. How could I not like that? This building was built in 1959. It's a cinder block strip mall with Columbo's Pizza being the anchor on the end here, and they're the landlord too, and they're really supportive of skateboarding. Seth and Cassie, they're great people. There's an arcade back here. It's a great place for kids, and yeah, arcade behind a skate shop. It's pretty awesome. There's a dispensary next door, and on the other end, they're working on a beer drinking place. This whole strip here on West College is kind of neat. It's away from Main Street and the mall and other places in Bozeman, and it's got some nice things. It's got the burger place, it's got Pickle Barrel, the studio coffee shop's awesome over here, good breakfast. So we should start calling this the hip strip, like they do in Missoula. I mean, if we call it that long enough, it'll become the hip strip. And I just love being here. I think it's a great spot. And there's 20,000 college kids right across the street. Skateboarding has come a real long ways in Montana. In the 70s, it was just sidewalks and streets, parking lots. And then in the 80s, it was all plywood ramps and backyards, and some parents let kids take up a bunch of space. There was a couple of full-size half pipes just outside of Bozeman here back in the 80s. Skate parks were never in Montana until, when was it? I guess maybe the 90s, the first couple started getting built. The evolution of that has really made Montana, I think, a go-to spot for people to come and actually tour around at the skate parks. And we're lucky to have them. Right here in Bozeman, there's like 5 within an hour, which is pretty cool. And we wouldn't have those without organizations like the Skateboard Alliance of Montana, Montana Pool Service, and Montana Skate Park Association, and also local groups like Livingston did. They started grassroots, start doing fundraisers and stuff, and eventually it all kind of blossoms and there's finances and the parks get built. It seems like when something's needed for skateboarding, skateboarders have other skills and interests, and it kind of comes together and is able to make things happen. We have to have places to skate. You know, we try to do it-yourself spots. The DIY scene is kind of neat too, but having actual skate parks that are part of the community is really a great thing for a lot of kids, and us adults too. Kids at heart. In the 80s, back when me and some of my other skateboard friends sometimes get in a car and go to Butte, they have ditches there, and we thought we have to do that because it reminded us of the pictures of Thrasher in California. And back then we all kind of wished we were in California because the images, that was just a hotbed of skateboarding. So we'd go to Butte. It just seemed so underground, so punk rock to get through the chain link fences and get into the ditches, which were pretty rough concrete. They weren't really all that great to skate. It was flat with bank sides, and they're still there. I still skate them sometimes. They're like cheese grater concrete for crashing in. They're not that great, but it was better than nothing. And that was a neat high school memory because it just made us feel like we were from another place. You know, if you grew up in Montana back then, it just seemed like a real podunky cowboy place that is just like, I gotta get out of here. And then later on you find out the mountains are magnetic and you just come back anyway. I think it would be great to see skateboarding just keep growing like it is right now. It seems like this is a really good time in Montana for skateboarding. It just seems like it's more popular than ever. And I think it's more popular than ever kind of universally. It's become more accepted, and it's great to see skateboarders of all genders, sizes, colors. Everybody's included in skateboarding, and it seems more so now than ever before. So I love how inclusive skateboarding is, and I hope that continues. If people feel like skateboarding is something they want to get involved in, I hope they don't have to feel uncomfortable going to the skate park or whatnot. When you pop your first ollie, that's going to be like triumph. Yeah, and then it just gets bigger and bigger from there. And every single skateboarder started from absolutely at ground zero and was that person. So it's good to keep that in mind, and it's good for skateboarders they're already out there ripping it up to remember that too. Remember that they started not knowing a thing as well. It's way better to let them ride around, give them room, and cheer them on. That's one of the neatest things about skateboarding is you hear people being loud at a skate park. It's because they're cheering their friends on. You know, they're behind them, they're happy for them. But people should feel comfortable doing this because it's an expression of freedom, and it's going to make them happy. There's some awesome groups out there that, like Girls on Shred out of Missoula, and the Skateboard Alliance of Montana is putting on clinics, things like that people can go to and maybe learn the basics would be real helpful too. And older skaters getting back into it. There's been people that have talked to me about that. I've gone out of skateboarding a few times. I had an injury, dislocated my shoulder, and I didn't skate for like almost 4 years after that. Getting back into skateboarding is kind of intimidating when you're older. You don't want to get hurt, but it can happen. You can wear pads. Knee pads is great if you're in the park and stuff. And you can just take it easy as well. It's just sometimes fun just carving and maybe trying to get a grind or two in as an older skateboarder. If there are people older that are thinking about getting back into skateboarding to kind of feel that freedom again, it's still there, it's still worth it. And coming into a skate shop and looking at the stuff, it's still as exciting as it was back in the day. Yes, skateboarding for me is way more important than just a piece of wood with wheels on it and aluminum trucks. A lot of us worry about the past. You know, I didn't have the best childhood. Who has? You know, a lot of dysfunction in life. I think that seems to be kind of normal in my experience. Dragging those kind of thoughts around it, I think, is a waste. That's the past. And worrying about things that haven't happened yet in the future is also a waste. We really should be happy with the moment right now. And skateboarding teaches me that. I mean, as soon as I stand on a skateboard, I'm focused. I'm just like, that's where my head is. It's in the moment. It feels so free, so awesome. If I'm stressed out or things just aren't going right, well, I just grab my skateboard and go out the door and put it on the ground and start rolling, and then I come back and I'm in a way better place, in a more realistic place, honestly. I mean, it seems to be kind of the condition, human condition maybe. I don't know, things are so chaotic. The world's always seemed crazy, but right now, since this is the moment we live in, it seems extra crazy. It's just one of the simplest, most refreshing forms of freedom that I can find. It's one of the best things for my mental health, for sure. I've been through all different medications and therapy and things like that for my mental health throughout the years, and that's been years now. I've put that in the past because all it takes is getting on a skateboard. There's a skate video called Useless Wooden Toys. It's just a useless wooden toy, but really it's like a useless wooden soul saver for some of us. It just makes you feel good, and happy's good. It makes everything better around you, I think. So. This is a roller derby brand, the number 10 skateboard, not in very good shape, but the first production skateboard, 1959. This could be from anywhere from 59 to 69 because they made them for that long without changing them. So there's a ton of them out there for collectors. This is an easy, cheap one to get. Skateboards have come a long way since 1959. The metal wheels, I imagine those probably sparked if you were super shredding at night. Just a plank of wood. And with the old roller skate wheels on it. This is a skateboard from the 60s. It's a Sears Roebuck and Company Hotdog model. Clay wheels, I like that. I think it's still, only have a couple with clay wheels, but I think that's interesting era. Oh, and there's no grip tape on the top. Back in the day too, the graphics were on the top. Nothing on the bottom really. Sometimes people carved their names in them. People oftentimes skated barefoot in the 60s, which would be crazy. Imagine the broken toes and ER visits. This is one of my favorite little relics. It's not worth anything really, but it's from Sears, so I like it. Oh, okay, how about this one? Here's the 80s one. Schmitt Stix skateboard from the late 80s, Monty Nolder model. You can't see the graphic obviously anymore. Paul Schmitt, he's known as Professor Schmitt these days. He has a skateboard factory, has for years, and he makes, I think, some of the best quality decks. Professor Schmitt came through my shop in Butte just last summer with a bunch of other legends from the 70s and 80s. When Professor Schmitt was in there, I thought, oh, I should show him this old Schmitt Stix that he built. And one of my friends said, you should have him sign it. And I hadn't thought about getting autographs from many of these guys. At the time, I was just blown away by them being in there. So I handed him a Sharpie and he started to write, and my first thought was, no, don't write on that. That's a really old cool. But then it's like, of course, now I got his autograph on it. And this skateboard actually still works all right, which is kind of weird. It had rails on it. It doesn't anymore. There's the holes from the rails. Basically, it's the same that they are now, 7 plies of hard rock maple. Oh, I should grab one of those Winkowskis. If you don't mind grabbing one of those, the left, down, 2 more down. Yeah, that guy. So here's that 80s relic, Schmitt Stix. Here's a new Santa Cruz. I think it's really cool that the old shapes are still around. I mean, they do reissues. Some of us older guys buy those maybe to hang on the wall. This is Winkowski. He's a current skater for Santa Cruz, and I just love the fact that there's a nice ripping pro skater using 80s style decks. Although he does tricks. My trick is to not get hurt. I'm old.